Well, good evening, folks, and welcome back to the farm. I had to put my sweater on, not because it's cold, but because the mosquitoes are very, very hungry this evening. It's a late one today. It's after 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just starting on chores now. So I don't have to do the pigs, they're already done, but I do have to check in and feed the meat chickens, give them water and stuff like that. And I should get feed prep for the layers for tomorrow morning as well. Why am I getting started so late? Today was just, well, it was a time. You'll recall from the past few days I've been talking about purchasing a different side-by-side, and we've had some banking issues. Not that we didn't have the money, not that we didn't pay for some, but I went to ATB in Beaver Lodge and said, look, I want to send a wire transfer. And ultimately they didn't send a wire transfer, they sent an electronic funds transfer. Not the same thing. Basically the money went to the auction company and they're like, where did this come from? And so it was a bit of a goat rope and gong show to figure out that yes, that was our money to pay for what we purchased so that we could bring it home. And it was like right at 5 o'clock, they were just closing the doors. Finally they gave approval, yes, you can come pick up your auction buy and haul it home. And then so then I got that, hauled it home, and it was time to go to fire practice. And here we are at 10 o'clock at night. I'm just getting home, getting ready. So what do we buy? Well, I've been mentioning the Red Baron. The Red Baron. Well, there she is. Yes, this is gonna be awesome for chores. It's gonna make life so much easier for us because, well, it's very similar to the one we had, except for this right here. Yes, it has a second row of seating, so the big concern with the other one is that we had nowhere to buckle Charlotte and then still have, you know, room for Mama Bear in there. So this way we'll be able to seat belt her in, be all safe and secure, lots of room for family, and still have the cargo room to do all the chores. Some of the other models we looked at, if you add a second row of seating, you lose the cargo space. The thing about the Ranger Crew is you keep the cargo space, you keep the passenger room. What do you lose? You lose all the room in your trailer. This baby is 13 and a half feet long from toe to tip. And so well, thankfully the brother-in-law bought a trailer at the same auction. It's over there. I gotta take it back tomorrow. It's a 20-foot trailer. Otherwise, we would have had no way to get this thing home. I'd have been driving this baby home from Grand Prairie, which it already takes us 45 minutes in the car. Never mind what it would take in one of these units. But anyways, excited about this. It's gonna be, yeah, well, we thought the last one was a game changer. This is gonna be a game changer again. So much room for activities. Anyways, gotta get rid of this stupid, oh, I thought I'd get it in one, I thought that'd be super cool and just take that in one swipe, but no, of course they use whatever glue they use. And there's gonna be some work to get that off. Anyways, that's fine, whatever. Let's go feed some chickens. So we've actually just moved our chickens over to just regular grain ration, same as we give our layer hens. It's not a layer ration per se. It's just a grain mix. It's got barley, wheat, oats, peas, and yeah, this is it right here. We get it from Bloom Enterprises locally. They just love it. Makes a really good finisher mix. So they've been on their starter, then they had grower, and then now we'll keep them on this for another 3, maybe 4 weeks. We'll see how they finish out here. Also see what the weather does. Find the weather also has a pretty big effect on how they finish off, because you know what the grass does and stuff like that. Boy, look at that sky. Some days we get just such huge skies out here, and I can't even make that up. Like, I don't know if we're gonna get a big storm come through here tonight or what that's gonna look like, but that's impressive. Maybe I should be hurrying to do chores or I might get wet. We'll see. So I've moved this chicken tractor already, and it's time to move this one. I'm faced with my biggest fear is I don't really have enough room to make it between these two trees. So I'm gonna have to do I'm gonna have to do some interesting parking here. Maybe a 5 or 6 point turn to get this chicken tractor through. Hey, enough of your shenanigans. And once we're through this one, then we're free and clear, because there's only one more tree there So we've got lots of room after we make it through this, the Gap of Rohan here, so to speak. And I don't want to be that guy that gets in trouble for running over his wife's trees. I might have been that guy 1 or 2 times before, and it doesn't make you too popular with the missus, that's for sure. So we'll see if we can squeeze through here without damaging any trees, and then we'll be on the wife's good side. We'll be all right. Come on, birdies. Yes, just made it. There was just enough room. No doghouse for me tonight. So some of you will know that I'm pretty passionate about food mileage and reducing food mileage. And what's food mileage? Well, food mileage is a concept that was kind of born in the 90s. It was the original carbon footprint, I guess you could say. We really started thinking about this stuff, and it was just essentially calculated on how many miles your food had to travel between where it was harvested and where it was eaten. And you know, I've done a previous video on avocados. This is a really good example of that, because you know, avocados can travel anywhere from 2,600 to 4,000 kilometers to get to your piece of toast, essentially. Now, the modern day carbon footprint, how that's calculated is really just thinking, well, you know, one avocado doesn't necessarily travel 4,000 kilometers. It's usually, you know, a shipping container full, so there's, you know, 10,000 avocados that travel that 4,000 kilometers. And is that really the same? Well, no, it's not necessarily avocados to avocados per se, but Ranger, nevertheless, is still something that we should be cognizant of, is how far what the impact of the travel is, because again, it's, you know, the power in the harvesting, the processing plants, it's all the energy that gets into shipping itself, then all the middlemen, you know, with transportation, distribution, and then finally into sales, and then from sales, just from getting it from the grocery store to your own home. Whereas when we're done with these chickens, they're gonna have a lot of miles on them, but those miles are just around the yard here, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. I think Ranger's pretty comfortable with that. He's a pretty big suck right now. But yeah, if you can reduce your food mileage, then you're gonna have Ranger, quit being a big jerk. You're gonna have a far greater impact on climate change, on global warming, on greenhouse gas emissions than you ever would by trying to reduce your red meat consumption. Let me tell you that red meat consumption is a scam. It's totally, you know, honestly, the red meat consumption thing is honestly, and one farmer's playing against another farmer, so whatever, all farmers are good, but it's the middlemen, it's the marketing people that go in between there that pitch one against each other. But if you're only to eat a plant-based diet, what are you eating in December? You're gonna eat food that gets shipped 4,000 miles is what you're gonna do, because nothing's gonna grow here in the northern hemisphere. It's just not gonna happen. So the way we farm is we're growing our vegetables all summer long. We're also got our animals out on pasture that can be butchered in the fall, and we can eat them over the course of the winter. And much like these chickens, right? We raise them during the summertime on a byproduct, essentially on grass. What else are you gonna do with it? And it's just pure sunshine. That's all that is, right? No chemicals, no drugs, just pure sunlight through photosynthesis, converted to carbohydrates, feeding those chickens, feeding our family. Doesn't get better than that. 0 mileage food, that's where it's at. So lots of folks make excuses as to why they can't do this, and it's usually, surprisingly, it's not about time. In fact, very rarely is it about time. It's usually about space. I don't have space to do this. Well, believe it or not, I mean, this chicken tractor here is big enough for 25 birds, right? Look at that. That's how big it is. 25 birds. We only got 20 in there right now. We've got lots of room for activities in there. Our big one, 10 by 14, right? We got 35 birds in there. Now say you cut this in half. You just put 10 birds in there. Would you then have enough room? The thing about it is these broiler chickens will grow out in 8 weeks. So you can run 2 or 3 batches of these every year, and you don't need a ton of room. And your ground only really needs 45 to 60 days to recover from behind it before, you know, from a manure management perspective, not so much from a grass recovery perspective, but from a manure management and parasite load perspective. Give it 45 to 60 days. Over the course of the summer, you can have 2 sets of broiler chicks on the same grass, right? In one summer. And you could essentially have 20 chickens. How many times do you eat chicken in a week? Even if you eat a whole chicken every single week, you got 6 months worth of chickens that you raise for $10, right? As opposed to going to the grocery store paying $25 to $30 for that same chicken, having no idea where it came from, and being confident in the fact that it did not have, you know, this free living, outdoor, sunshine kind of upbringing, living on grass and bugs and locally grown grains from local farmers here in the Peace Country, right? This is the best kind of food you could ever get for your family, let me tell you. And space is not an excuse, time is not an excuse. All the cows are up here now, but tomorrow Clayton's actually gonna come by. He's bringing the bulls over. Yes, ladies, that's right. You guys are gonna have to share a boyfriend. So they're all gonna move over to the west pastures. The reason that is over there, we share a fence line with the county road. Over here on the east side, we share a fence line with our other neighbor, who also has cows and bulls. So we've had the cows in this east pasture now for a couple of weeks, and they've chewed a lot of the grass down. It's been fantastic, because then they can head over there with the bulls, do all their breeding stuff, get their wiggles out, and instead of being over here, that's the lesson we learned the hard way last year, is that the bulls got in here together, they started fighting and farting around, and it wasn't good. One of the bulls actually ended up getting a broken leg, had to get put down. There's a bunch of fence to fix, wasn't cool. So no more of that this year. Everybody's gonna head off to the west pastures, and they can have independent shenanigans. Well, anyways, looks to be like that's pretty much all we're gonna have left for daylight here, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix up a cup of tea. I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.